I declare and say now, apartheid regime can never be declared a crime against humanity. If this xenophobia cannot be declared against a crime against humanity, that means apartheid never been a crime against humanity. They were just crying for nonsense. The whole world will now witness what South Africa is all about toward refugees.
There's the harassment, there's the discrimination, people are being targeted, they're being assaulted, their shops being raided, houses now being set alight as we saw in Mossel Bay, and really people's safety and security being called into question. We're now moving from being abantu, people, and humanizing one another to almost animalistic and ballistic ways, and that for me is quite scary.
South Africa is under siege, number one. A lot of people are not employed, number two. It tells you about the social ills that we are experiencing as a country.
The first core issue is drugs. The second core issue is the clinics, the hospitals.
This week we are only warning them that on the 30th of June we want them gone in our country.
What I would like to say is that I'm so happy and very glad to what happened today, in which manner the whole world will now witness what South Africa is all about toward refugees. Because as a refugee in South Africa, you don't have any rights, you don't have anything. They treat you like fishes, they treat you like second-class citizens, they treat you like nothing. Because you could hear from the judgment that the judge gave, he's still denying that there is no xenophobic attacks in South Africa. But we have a lot of people that are there, their husband has been killed. He's still enforcing and trying to encourage the same blatant liars of the city of Cape Town to say that people must go to them and try to tell them of the fears or wherever that is happening in the areas where they used to live. So what I'm trying to say is that it's a big test to South African government and to the world. Remember last time in Parliament, it was during SONA. People fought there, they wanted to chase away F.W. de Klerk and say, citing that he's also, he has committed crime against humanity. But what is xenophobic killings, which we call xenophobic massacre of refugees? Isn't a crime against humanity, but he's still denying it. That's a judge of the High Court. He's saying there is no such kind of thing that shows that people are in danger. Or xenophobia, he did not agree with that. You understand what I'm saying?
But Mr. Balus, yeah. Judge Tulari did make it very clear that yes, while you are protected by the South African Constitution, you need to abide by the rules and regulations of the country, and therefore you must uphold the municipal bylaws.
Yes, talking about that, that means he doesn't care about people being killed. If I ask him, can you show me any South African that has been burning refugees alive, looting their stuff, who has been convicted in any court of law in South Africa? That's the question to ask. But poor refugees, vulnerable refugees, is taking advantage of them because he's a judge, he's a South African. That's nonsense when he's talking to abide with the law and whatever. That's nonsense. What about his life when he's killed? He doesn't care because he's not his brother. They don't come from the same mother or same father. You understand? So it doesn't matter to them when it comes to refugees. And this, I declare and say now, apartheid regime can never be declared a crime against humanity. If this xenophobia cannot be declared a crime against humanity, that means apartheid never been a crime against humanity. They were just crying for nonsense, for waste of time, for lying outside that they were being killed. Because they are doing it to us, they are still doing the same thing that they were crying that apartheid regime used to do to them.
What you're finding is that foreign nationals in the country, starting in KZN, now we're seeing that it's spreading elsewhere. You know, there's the harassment, there's the discrimination, people are being targeted, they're being assaulted, their shops being raided, houses now being set alight as we saw in Mossel Bay, and really people's safety and security being called into question. There's reported cases now over the weekend that 5 Mozambican nationals were killed in Mossel Bay. There were earlier reports of, a handful of Nigerians who were killed. There's a Malawian who was killed in KZN. So while we don't have statistics that speak authoritatively around the death toll surrounding these protests, what we do know is that people have now been displaced in some parts of KZN. People are really living in fear. So there's a lot of fear mongering. There's a lot of intimidation. There's also a mixed messaging, because one minute they say Ubuntu has been suspended until further notice. Anybody who tells us that Ubuntu has been suspended, for me, tells us that we're now moving from being abantu, people, and humanizing one another to almost animalistic and ballistic ways. And that for me is quite scary.
You know, if you can have a look today, what is happening here, the number of people that are here, it tells you we've got a serious crisis in our country. South Africa is under siege, number one. A lot of people are not employed, number two. It tells you about the social ills that we are experiencing as a country because we are on autopilot. So people are regaining their voice, are saying to government, take care of our needs. We've been talking to you, we've alerted you to these problems, but you are not attending to our needs. So people are here to voice their concern, one, about the takeover of informal businesses. You know, that should be the prerogative of South Africans. You know, there is nowhere in the world where you would find that your local economy, your township economy, your small businesses have been completely taken over by people who we don't know where they're coming from. We don't know what it is they are doing here in the country, but they've taken over all those kinds of businesses. So it's treasonous, actually, what we see in the country. This government is not responding at all. Instead, it's banishing us as xenophobic, as Afrophobic, and as people who are hateful of others. We're not. We're saying it's about time that we regain our country. It's about time that we regain this economy. And township people need not necessarily be put aside. We're saying this economy belongs to us all.
It's because of our township economy. It's no longer benefiting us. So therefore, that's why we took to the street to come and do what we are doing today, because we are tired. People are unemployed, they're not working, government is not doing anything, and foreigners are owning the tuck shops. And whenever someone tries to open a tuck shop, they bully that person to close the shop. So today we are here to tell them that they must go back to their country.
So what is it that you guys ultimately want to see happen at the end of this week?
This week we are only warning them that on the 30th of June, we want them gone in our country so that our people can go back to owning their tuck shops again.
Let me get this right, Rose. You're saying this today, what we're seeing, is a warning.
Yes, it's a warning. For the whole week, we'll be warning them. The massive march will be on the 30th of June. Then that's when we don't want to see any foreigner in our township.
The first core issue is drugs. The second core issue is the clinics, the hospitals, because when our South African people, when they go to hospitals, you'll find that there are no beds. When they go to clinics, you'll find that there is no service, there's no medication. Because of these foreign nationals, they're taking all those things. But the main core issue is drugs. That is really killing our country. Our youth are really caught up in the drugs by the foreign nationals.
What is the solution going forward, in your view?
We must go out and make sure that they are out of our country, because if we're not doing that ourselves as South Africans or as ordinary people, our government is not assisting us on that by all means. We all know that. So we have decided to go out and show our dissatisfaction and chase them away, especially those who are not having documentation, those who are not documented. Because those who are documented, of course, they are here legally. But those who are not documented, that we're having a serious problem about them.